Our next witness is 232, page 159 of your bundle. We may have some technical problem in calling the witness. If witness 232 is not available, we can move on to witness 104. Good afternoon. Witness 232. The chair will now swears you in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. Would you repeat after me, please? I solemnly declare that I will speak the truth. Can you hear me, Mr.
They ask you to wait for a few seconds so that someone would come and talk instead of the witness.
Ah, okay.
Can you please let us know whether the witness can hear our voice?
You can proceed.
Can you repeat after me, please? I solemnly declare that I will speak the truth.
I solemnly declare to tell the truth and the whole truth. And nothing but the truth.
Your statement has many details in it which would identify you, so be careful when testifying.
The witness is a medical practitioner in a small town. He witnessed people being shot either from rooftops or nearby. He treated some of the injured at his home. He testifies that up to 170 bodies were delivered to the hospital in this small town. Witness 232, the tribunal has received your report, for which we thank you. Please briefly explain what you witnessed on Saturday, 17th November. It should be 16th November, I guess.
First of all, I should apologize for covering my face. I apologize to you and the people of Iran. It would have been an honor for me if we could have said all these things in a free court in Iran. I came back from work on 16th of November. I was on a shift for 24 hours. I tried to sleep. I got up at 10 or 11 in the morning. I got up, I was having breakfast when I heard some people chanting slogans in the streets. I became curious. I went downstairs and I saw that young, old man and woman were all moving towards the north of the street. They were chanting slogans. I asked what had happened. I was told that the petrol prices have increased and people are protesting. Well, I thought that I also use petrol, and petrol would affect all prices, so I went and joined the people. We got to a square. I realized that the law enforcement forces, that the police force were standing there, and it was only the police force. And the people were very polite. The police was politely asking people to go home too. The people had a demand. Nothing had happened, and the people were just standing there. After a few minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I heard some shooting. I thought that the shooting should be into the air, naturally, but I saw that 3 or 4 people had fallen, including one individual who was hit in the chest. Apparently, his lung was hit, and there were foam coming out of his mouth and nose. I went forward to see if I can help, but I saw that unfortunately nothing can be done for the individual. And there was another woman, and a child was fallen next to a tree. I was really stunned. The population, the crowd scattered. They went a bit further. They again made a line and a queue. The officers started throwing tear gas. When they threw tear gas, I separated from the population and went towards my home. And I was really curious. I finally got home and went home. That was because I was not that maybe that strong, and I was not able to chant. I was not brave enough to chant slogans and all that.
Can you please slow down because the interpreters cannot catch up with you?
I was looking from above. It was like a movie. Scenes were passing by. I saw shootings. People were being chased. Even the police came to our alley. He was shooting people. And they were shooting so much as if they had an automatic weapon. It was about 12 at night or even later that I saw that they had blocked the road. I could see from the above. They were not even allowing people to pass by. I just went downstairs as if I was taking rubbish down, and I threw a plastic rubbish downstairs. When I threw the rubbish, they didn't even let me cross the road to put it in the rubbish bin. I still tried and passed the street. I was very curious. I saw there were a number of young people who had been arrested and kept back there. Their hands were above their heads. When I came back from the other side of the street, I saw that where the individuals were arrested, the first and second people were shedding blood. I got really upset and I went home. I thought that I should mention all this to you. The other point was what happened in the morning, and that was the shooting that I witnessed. I was there. I witnessed the shooting. This was really strange to me. The ambulances were present. Ambulances everywhere in the world, when they come to the scene, similar to other parts of the world, they are there to save people. They are trying to give new life to people. After the ambulances came, I saw people disembarking. There were some plainclothes individuals who got off the ambulances. I should add that the personnel were not medical personnel. Those who left the ambulances started attacking people's ranks. When the next ambulance arrived, there were a number of injured. Since I'm in the medical profession, I felt that they should be taken to hospital and they will be treated there. And maybe they would be a bit questioned. But it was 1 a.m. in the morning. The hospital was completely different. It was like a castle. And this military castle had changed form after a number of ambulances came. It was as if prisoners were being transferred from one place to another. I was surprised what was going on. Anyway, that night passed. It was a very difficult night. The following morning, I was going to my place of work. I started walking towards the south of the street. In the south of that street, when I was going downwards, there was a young boy, 18 or 19 years old, who was carrying a food box. I felt that I became wet for a moment. I saw that this young boy had fallen, and my clothes were full of blood and parts of the brain of the child. That child was being shot by bullet. I didn't even hear the shooting. That 11 or 19-year-old boy just fell. I didn't know him. It was a question to me, were they trying to hit me or were they targeting him? Maybe I was afraid. I don't know. Maybe it was just a stray bullet. I don't know. I don't know anything about military issues. The other case that I witnessed was in the hospital. There was a young girl injured. She had come to the hospital. She had gone to the toilet inside the yard of the hospital. Two plainclothes officers were trying to chase her. They hit her there with a bullet. Nobody does that with an animal, what they did with that young girl. The hospital where I work has a small morgue. It has a place for just a few corpses. No one was allowed to go towards the corpse. Since I could use pull some strings and go there, I went there and had a look from distance. I had a look from distance, and I realized that not only the morgue was full, the door of the morgue was still open and it was filled with bodies, dead bodies. The bodies were put on the top of each other. I don't know what happened to all these dead bodies. I don't know who they gave the bodies to, but it was shocking, and I became thoughtful in view of the large number of the injured that were brought and after they were outpatiently treated. They were in an unknown way disappeared. They disappeared, and therefore I gave messages to people that if you have injured, don't bring them to the hospital. I'll come and take a look first. If I could help them, I will. Otherwise, then take them to the hospital. Because some of the injuries cannot really be treated at home. Contrary to what they show on TV and movies, the bullet does not go a straight line. After hitting an individual, after hitting the bones, the clothes, even the muscles of individuals, the bullet will change direction. And in many cases, it will change direction. And it will damage internal tissues, and it may lead to death. but the bullets which directly moved through the body, they either made a hole and left the body, or they hit the bone and was trapped inside the body, or maybe they had not hit the major organs of the body. In those cases, those bullets could have been taken out easily, and the person could have been treated in not a too complex manner, not through a too complex procedure. So the individual could have been saved so that he could go back to his own life. I should add that according to the Iranian law, any any injury that would be the sign of a bullet or the sign of injury by a knife should be reported to the police. And if I had reported, then what would have been the difference? I had promised to, I have sworn to save lives. And when I saved these people, and after I hand them over to the officers, it would be as if I had done nothing. They would have died under torture. The injured who came to my home were of different types. Some had been hit by pellets, some were hit by bullets, some were hit by buttons, some had broken bones or displaced arms. And I had a friend who was specialized in orthopedics. We took the bullets out, the pellets out. We tried to stop bleeding. We tried to fix the broken bones as far as we could. And we paid the price. Not only I paid the price, but also a large number of my colleagues paid the price. Many of those who I know paid the price. I don't have much to add. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Tribunal, that how many people you roughly treated at your home and privately?
About 30.
And your friends, how many you think you and your other friends had helped? How many injured people in total?
What I remember, I treated 30 people, and my friends in their own private practices and their houses, they did it. They could not go to the hospital, though. All the minders of the security forces were there. They wouldn't allow you.
You saw 170 bodies were brought to your hospital in that small town. Is that correct?
No, it was a mistake on my part. If I've said that, I've made a mistake. I did not see 170 bodies. No, that's a very, very high statistics. No, I didn't see that.
The tribunal will have questions for you.
Justice Yaqub.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Let me start by clearing up a couple of very small things. You said you were at breakfast on the 15th, when you on the 16th, when you saw what was going on. In the statement, somehow it has come out as you working in your office. It's not a big thing, but it'll be good if you can clear it up.
ببینید من
You see, the night before, I had a shift. I went through my shift. It was a night shift. Then I came home, and I don't have a practice of my own. That's to say, to be there, to practice there. And my house is in such a place that I can even see the hospital. But somebody who has gone through a 24-hour shift cannot work again with the necessary care. And that's why I was home. That's what I said.
The statement is wrong when it says you were sitting in your office then. Can I take that? Because these mistakes are made. Don't worry about it too much. I just want to clear it up.
من دقیق
No, I clarified it. I said I returned home from my night shift. I was in my house, and in my own house, at times I received patients.
Okay. Now, on the next morning, again, there seems to be a small problem in the statement. You say that you were going to work the next morning in your evidence, but your statement seems to say, if I read it right, that you were going to the pharmacy to buy something, to get a few things, I think, is what you said. So I'd like you please to clear that up, where you, what were you actually doing, going to work or going to the pharmacy?
نزدیک به جاییه که اون من برای اینکه
I had to go to the pharmacy to buy some medicine because I had patients who needed it.
Going to work at the hospital, or were you going to the pharmacy to buy medicine for the patients at the hospital? I'm just trying to understand, because I thought the hospital would have its own medicine, that's why.
بله
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you please repeat it?
There's a small trouble. The statement says you were going to the pharmacy. You now say you were going to the pharmacy, but you said earlier that on the second day you were on your way to work. So I'm trying to work out where the mistake is. That's all, so that it's all cleared up. Oh God, it's a small thing, I hope.
صدا نیست
Sorry, yeah. Okay, if you don't follow, let's leave it. It may not be that important. You say you didn't see 170 bodies. That's too many. Can you estimate how many you did see?
بیمارستان
Our hospital could accommodate 10 rows in the morgue. And in the middle, of course, you have an empty space. And in that empty space, you could see bodies, 3 or 4 rows of bodies, at times 2 rows together. The statistics of 170 it's very exaggerated. I cannot have said something like that. Perhaps I was misunderstood or something.
Give me a realistic, I understand that you may have been misunderstood. All I want now, please, is how many bodies do you anticipate there were now? And I would rather you try and give a very honest estimate. Doesn't matter what the number is, but as long as you can work it out properly in your mind, try and look at how many shelves there were, how many bodies in each shelf. Just try and make an estimation, because it's quite important for us to know how many there were.
Maximum 30 bodies could have been there.
Maximum. And, well, since you talk about
حد اکثر 30 تا.
Maximum 30. But in that area, we had a number of hospitals. In that area, we had a number of hospitals. And if in every hospital you would have 30 bodies in the morgue, if you have 30 maximum in every other hospital, then you would actually come to 170, 180 bodies in the whole area.
I follow that. Maximum 30, I understand you, and minimum?
Look, there is no minimum. I am telling you that the morgue has 10 drawers, and then they get filled. And then if you have bodies on the floor, then you can have an estimate how many there were.
You say there were about 30. Is that right?
بله بله.
Yes, yes.
Misunderstood you. Now, the next thing is, what were the injuries that people suffered from that you saw? And I'm more interested in not a detailed description of the injuries, but how many in the upper parts of the body, how many in the middle body, more or less, and how many in the lower part, like in the legs and so on and so on. So I know that it was a very busy time. You saw lots of injured people. Were most of them upper body, middle body, or legs?
The injuries were mostly in the upper body. Usually, the injuries that lead to death are in the upper body.
Talking about now the injuries that did not lead to death, those that you treated at home, those that you went to the hospital to treat, and so on. So leaving aside the dead, so there would have been 30 in your hospital who would have had upper body injuries. But you can get, let's say, a shoulder injury, which is upper body, from which you won't die. A bullet can go through your nose from one side and come out onto the other side and you won't die, that sort of thing. So the rest of the people, just some idea of how many upper body, how many middle body, how many lower body, more or less. And I promise you, I'm not going to ask you too many questions about how you made the calculation. As long as you do it honestly, I'm happy.
جراحات
the injuries that were caused by hard objects, you could see them everywhere, on the head, on the legs, everywhere. The injuries that lead to death are those that are caused by bullets or blunt force trauma, as we say, striking your head. We saw a lot of pellets, for example, on the chest and on the faces of the people. I took them out from the faces and from the chests of the injured. These were injured people who had even more than 10 pellets in their own face.
I know it's been difficult.
پس
And,
چرا
sorry.
من چرا یادمه
And why is it that I remember these things is because an injured person was in great pain, but I could not give him anesthesia. I could not have an X-ray from him. I could only give local anesthesia. Not all local anesthesia really numbs the organ. The person is in pain. You are dealing with the skin, with the tissue, with the veins, and the injured person feels the pain every moment.
چی رو باز نکنین؟ کجاشو باز
Where is it that you are not going to open? Any place that you wanted to I've come here to get a response from the Islamic Republic. Why? Why did this happen? These were the demands which were legitimate by the population. They came to the streets and this is what happened to them. What is it that I must not say? And why is it that I should come here but not respond? And these were the demands of the people. That these were all changed into something that deserved bullets. But let us open the issue. I've come here to talk about the issues. I have paid the price in order to be able to talk about it.
Very, very much for coming. But let me
من
go.
چه جراح چه کارگر
Whether you are a surgeon or you're a worker, the same applies.
Now, I wanted to go back a little. Why couldn't you give them a general anesthetic? Is that because they were at your home, or was there some other reason?
من صدا رو ندارم
He cannot hear us. He cannot hear us, he says.
Start again. What was why could you not give them a general anesthetic, some of them? Was it because they were at your home where you had no facilities for it? Or was there some other reason why you could not give them a general anesthetic?
The connection is lost. Shall we go to the next witness?
Mr.
Again, somehow, then speaking for myself, you might as well interrupt the other witness and get this witness over and done with, because in my view, that witness is very important and we must try very hard not to lose him.
We'll do so.